Hey guys, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome. I hope you'll consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back each and every time. In this video, I am sharing some really easy, budget-friendly farmhouse inspired DIY decor ideas. I also threw in a few spring Easter decor ideas in this video as well. These DIYs are super easy and quick. They mostly use Dollar Tree items. Like for this first DIY, for instance, I'm using one of these signs. I totally forgot to hit the record button. I thought I was recording, but basically it's a sign that says Farmhouse on the other side, but I just flipped it right over and I painted it in this Snow White chalk paint. I didn't do a full coverage coat or anything like that. It's just more of a rough coat. I did want a little bit of that distressed look to it, so I kept it where it shows the brown tone coming through. I made this vinyl decal here on my Cricut cutting machine. I just found a free image on Design Space. And I picked out this utensil set here and just enlarged it to fit the size of this decor item. So to further embellish this DIY, I'm going to use some rub-on transfers here that I had on hand. These are just some of the different varieties that I had in my stash. I'm just showing you the different options that I had to work with. I wasn't exactly sure which direction I wanted to go, but I really like the black and white look, so I opted to use these little floral elements here that were left over. I also could have used the eucalyptus pack because I think that's a super pretty one as well. But I did think that using the black and white, keeping it with the black and white theme would be a nice idea, just something different. So I'm just picking out the different parts and pieces of my leftover transfers here that I wanted to use. That's the great thing about using the rub-on transfers, is that you don't have to use everything that's included in the pack. You can just cut the pieces that you want that will fit into your own, project, and whatever fits into your spaces. Because like for instance, I like this word here, farmhouse, and it has like the arched look to it. So I went ahead and just kept this all intact, and I'm going to just be adhering that here to my project. And again, this pack came with multiple designs of little stems and just things like that looks like little floral stems and whatnot. And those are the things I'm going to be using. So I'm showing you here the ribbon that came with this sign. It came on this dowel here and the little jute twine. It's a little hanging decor piece. And I had to sort of remove all of the pieces just to make sure I'm able to paint underneath. And since I am using the back side, I did have to flip things around. But you'll see when I reassemble everything. I'm just going to go ahead and start attaching all of my rub-on transfers, all of the elements that I wanted to include on this project, like this little stem. I'm not really exactly sure the right word to call those things, but I'm just going to call them like floral stem pieces. So I'm just going to go ahead and let you watch as I continue to add all of these rub-on transfers to my decor piece. All right, now that I am done with adding all of those rub-on transfers, I'm just showing you the buffalo check ribbon that this sign came with. Since I had to flip the sign over so that I had the bare wood to work with, I did have to flip over the ribbon as well so that I'm able to use the tack on this side of my sign. And I just pushed it right into that MDF board or cardboard or whatever this sign is made of. And I'm reattaching this dowel right back where it belongs. And then I'm just gonna hot glue the ribbon back into place on the back side of the sign. So the same way that it came is the same way I'm going to reassemble all the pieces. I apologize that I didn't get to show you the before because I thought I was recording, but in actuality I had already started painting and everything and took all the pieces apart without hitting that record button. So here's what I'm talking about. The side where it says farm to table, that's actually how it came originally. And I didn't want to go through the hassle of removing all that paper. So I just flipped the sign over and just painted the backside and just added all of the hanging elements and everything to the other side. And this is how it came out. Super easy, cute little farmhouse kitchen decor. And I realized that not everyone has a Cricut machine to make these decals, but you can also maybe print up an image on Google. Moving on to DIY number 2, I am taking one of these signs that came from the Dollar Tree. It's one of their house-shaped signs with a little bead. I guess it's meant to look like a wreath. I also printed up this phrase here on my Cricut. It says bless this nest, and I used the white vinyl just to stand out against this black background. And this one's going to be a really simple project. I wanted to create more everyday type of farmhouse decor, not just like Easter, because this is more versatile and you can actually keep it around year round. But I'm going to also show you ways in which you can make this more of an Easter or spring decor. I'm giving you options just by showing you the items here that I have on hand. I'm taking one of these thrifted nests that I had in my stash. But first, I'm going to remove that little beaded decor right there that they hot glued onto this sign. I used some heat from my heat gun and then just use a putty knife to help remove it. Here I'm just showing how I'm going to be attaching this nest. This nest is a little bit more 3D, so it's it sticks out a little bit. I was trying to see if there's any way I could flatten it, but it wasn't budging. So I'm just going to show you how you can make this more of an Easter decor because I did like the look of this. I like how it's colorful and it just really brings that spring vibe. But this is not the option that I chose to do because I wanted to have more of an everyday style decor. So the first set of eggs there were the colorful eggs, and they're the plastic eggs from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just showing how it looks really nice and colorful inside this nest. But alternatively, I used these neutral colored eggs that came from Hobby Lobby and showing you how that looks in here as well. I'm taking this pack of colorful beads from their Easter line, and I'm just going to use one, or actually two of each of the colors. So this pack came with light blue, pale pink, yellow, and green. And I went ahead and used each of those colors. It took two of each of those colors to fill or to cover up this piece of jute twine that came off of this sign. All I did was remove the existing jute twine that this sign came with. And pro tip is if you want to get your beads to go into your string easily, it's best to either add some hot glue to the corner of your jute twine, and then that way it just makes it easier to string into those bead holes. You can also use tape as well. But here I'm just showing the option of putting these beads along with these colorful Easter eggs to make this more of a spring Easter decor. And again, I do like that look right there. I think it looks really nice and very spring and colorful. And that's what I like about that look. But this is going to be the other option. I'm just going to use those neutral colored eggs, speckled eggs from Hobby Lobby, along with this beaded decor that came off of this sign as well. So that was that little wreath decor that they had attached that I removed. And instead of using it for that reason, I'm going to just attach it to the back as my hanger. And this is just going to add that decorative element and add more texture, I guess, or just more interest for sure, instead of just a plain jute hanger. So I went ahead and grabbed some moss from my stash, just some green moss. I'm going to go ahead and add that, fill this little nest just to add more texture and color in this little nest, and hot glue everything down into place. And once I had that first layer added, I went ahead and hot glued all of my eggs, just laying them down in, positioning them in a way that looked nice. And again, I'm using the rule of 3 for me, which is the odd number. My preference of how I decorate and DIY is just by using odd numbers in my decor. Just I think it looks a lot nicer and more pleasing to the eyes. So this is what I opted for, and I think it fits nicely into this nest as well, not overwhelming it. But you can do what you like with your own DIY. This is just for inspiration. Now, if you were to use maybe smaller, like robin's eggs, like those first ones I showed you, the little wooden ones, then I'm sure you can get away with adding more than just 3. But this size egg here, I think 3 was the magic number, and I think it just looks nice just the way it is. So to add more color and texture, I decided to go ahead and add some Excelsior grass. These have more of like a straw-like texture and color. And so I think it just adds a nice contrast to everything and makes everything look brighter. So that does it for this project. The last thing I did add to this after I finished recording was I did add some jute twine to the bottom. I felt like it needed something more. I also added a sprig of fern that you see wrapped at the bottom of the nest. I think that completes the look. Moving on to project number 3. I'm using another one of those farmhouse looking decor from the Dollar Tree, and also printing up this welcome decal on my Cricut. I used black vinyl this time just so that it had a nice contrast to this natural looking wood. And here I was debating on what I wanted to do with that bead right there, that beaded design. I knew I wanted to make a wreath of sorts on this house, so I figured using that bead as a base for a wreath would be a great idea. Before moving on to that step, I went ahead and burnished my decal onto this house. I just like to go ahead and start with that step right there, just so I have a baseline of where everything is going, and if I want to add any other decor or anything or elements to this, I can kind of work off of where I place that decal. So much like the last DIY, I'm just going to use my heat tool to remove anything I didn't want on this project. I went ahead and started to hot glue all of the beads down into place, since it was just a hanging piece and it sort of hung freely. I just wanted everything to have more of like a permanent, stable, be a permanent fixture, if you will. So I hot glued the beads in different areas. So this greenery bouquet that I am using is from the Dollar Tree. I picked it up recently. So you should be able to have this or find this easily at your store. This has some different like dusty colored green pieces, like sort of like lamb's ear, how they have like that flocked texture. So, and they also had like some purple flowers in this bouquet as well. And the first idea I had was to just cut off all of those purple flowers and start to insert them in between each of the beads, but they weren't sitting right and it didn't look right in my opinion. So I opted for the next option, which was to just start laying all of my leaf pieces flat around the beads. So the leaves will essentially be or create the wreath, and just creating like a fanned out shape and gluing them down at an angle. Again, this is just to make it look more like a wreath and how a like a wreath is typically shaped. And that beaded part just adds a nice farmhouse look to this wreath. So I started to hot glue all of those greenery pieces down, how I have them arranged, because I really liked how that looked. And this was a much better option in my opinion than my initial idea, which was to add those leaves and like the leaves and the purple pieces into the beads, because that wasn't really looking right and it wasn't sitting right. So I'm just going to continue layering more leaves just to make this look more fuller. I first started with that first layer of leaves, and then I decided I'm going to go in with a few more leaves and add them in between the first layer, just again adding some depth and making it look more full. So I proceeded to take the purple parts of the bouquet and just cut off all those little pieces and just glued them in between all the leaves. And that look was a lot better in my opinion. I took a pack of these stickers that have a lot of bird designs on them, because this DIY is leaning more towards spring and the whole bird aesthetic and everything. So I chose the sticker here with the right size and shape to fit in the middle of my wreath. And then I chose another sticker, just a bird sitting on a branch. I thought would add a nice touch to complete this look. And when I say that this was an easy project, this was super easy. So I decided to add one last bit of decorative element, and I just took a strand of these beads. It's like a bead garland basically from the Dollar Tree. I kept it in the unfinished wood because, I kind of like the whole look of the natural look of this wood, and along with the house and everything. So I kept it the way it was. I kept it on the strand just for ease of hot gluing all the pieces down, and then just ran the hot glue all across the bottom of this house and just laid my bead garland across and then just cut off the excess. That was a super easy way of attaching, instead of removing all the beads from the string that it comes on and then gluing each one individually. So this is how this project came out. I think it was super simple, super sweet, cute for spring, and I hope you guys like this idea. Moving right along to project number 4, I am going to be using these pack of eggs from the Dollar Tree. I've had this for maybe over a year now. Didn't quite use it last year, but these are meant to be like ornaments. They have little ribbon hangers attached to each of them, and they're really cute, nice, especially if you decorate with like bottle brush trees for Easter. That would make a great little decor for that, or just if you wanted to hang it on a string. But I had a different idea in mind here. These come already painted just like this, and they have this variety of colors here and designs. So I'm using one of these galvanized buckets that I picked up from Dollar General a few years back, and I went ahead and removed the label and everything. And I was trying to add some things in here just to make everything elevated, and that way the eggs don't fall right into it or sink into this little tin bucket. So I first added that little leftover pool noodle that I had in my stash, and then added a square piece of floral foam that I cut down to size. I added some hot glue and just added that on top of the pool noodle, but you'll see here that it actually melted through the pool noodle. So just be careful when you're working with like plasticky type foam materials. See right there, it melted that whole section. You may want to use a different type of glue or maybe low heat temperature hot glue. But I went ahead and just flipped that over and then attached everything down. I wasn't worried about the pool noodle being attached to the base of the tin, just more so that the floral foam was attached to the pool noodle. So I went ahead and organically, with no rhyme or reason, just started to assemble all of these eggs on top of the floral foam, just like you see me doing here. I sort of laid everything down, not really sure if this was going to work or not. This was just an idea that I had that came to me, and I was hoping that it would, come into fruition. But you'll see that eventually it turns out really cute. So I start to add some hot glue to the areas that I thought would make contact with the floral foam, and then just keep pressing. I kept pressing on them, making sure that everything attached to each of the eggs attached to each other. And then I attached that last purple egg on top of the rest. And after everything was glued, I took my reindeer moss. This is like this really bright green, soft, fluffy moss, which I actually really like because it doesn't make a whole lot of mess. It's not like the other moss where they break up into small pieces and create a huge mess. This one actually stays pretty, like attached to each other, like they don't really break down and they're really soft. And the color is really nice as well. So I just started to break up some pieces I needed to cover up those gaps in between those eggs, and basically hot glue them all along the rim of this galvanized tin, just covering everything, any space, anything that, was connecting to each other, like wherever the eggs connected to the other egg is where I needed to add the moss, just to close up any gaps and just make this look like some type of a moss display. So as I was creating this and it was coming together, I was really starting to see everything take shape, and my vision was actually coming to light. So I was really happy about that. And I just kept adding more and more moss as needed, just making sure that, I concentrated a lot on the rim of the bucket, the tin bucket. And here's the fun part. I took my little mini scissors and started giving this a little haircut. And this is the fun part because you can actually start trimming off the excess and really see everything come to shape and look a lot more neat and nice. And so look how simple this DIY is. I mean, anybody can do this. I actually thought about making a second one of this moss decor, topiary, whatever you want to call it. But I just went ahead and just made this one. I can always go back because I do have another pack of eggs. If I wanted to create like a set, I can just go back and make another one. But I wanted to share this idea with you because it was just super simple. It doesn't even have to be these particular eggs. If you have any type of Easter eggs on hand, you can make this project just as easily. I went ahead and took this seam binding ribbon. It's a Martha Stewart brand in this pink color. Made a simple shoestring bow just like this. I angled the tails and then just hot glued that down to the center part of this bucket here. And that was pretty much it. This was a super easy DIY project. I love how this came out. Adorable. This would make a nice tier tray decor or add it to your mantle shelf or any vignette that you have going on for Easter spring. But I think this one is super adorable, and I'm very happy with the outcome. I just wanted to take this time to thank you guys for sticking around if you're still here with me. If you are here, please leave me a bunny emoji in the comments down below. And if you are a subscriber, please make sure that you are still subscribed. Sometimes subscribers get unsubscribed for some reason. So if you still want to be a subscriber, please check that you still are. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. Let's move on to the final DIY of this video. I am taking more Dollar Tree supplies. I'm using a pack of these white styrofoam bunnies. They come in a pack. I did take 2 separate packs. These were just left over from my stash. And I didn't realize at the time that I was creating this video that they actually were a little slightly different in sizes. So as I was assembling my project, I realized that different ways that I arranged the bunnies, it actually wasn't fitting right. And that's when I came to the conclusion that a couple, like the 2 different bunny sets were actually slightly different in size. They are the same shape and everything, but the sizes were off just by a hair. So I didn't pay attention to that, but luckily it wasn't a total fail. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm taking this Java chalk paint color by Home Decor or Folk Art, and I'm just going to go ahead and coat each of these styrofoam bunnies. I did use a skewer just for ease of painting, and also a piece of styrofoam that I'm going to attach all, or all of my skewer pieces, just so everything can dry properly and without the bunnies getting disturbed. So I sped through everything because, that's just boring watching me paint every single bunny. And then I just went ahead and sped up the drying process. Here's this canvas that I'm going to be using. This was an 8 by 10 canvas. I just flipped the canvas upside down. I'm going to be using the back side of this just to create more of like a box instead of the actual flat side. So I wanted to have that little lip area again, just to make it look like it's a frame. I'm just arranging all the bunnies here, which are essentially chocolate bunnies, after painting it that Java chalk paint. And then I'm gonna add this moss sheet from the Dollar Tree and hot glue it down into place. It was almost the same size as the inside of this canvas, but it did have a little bit of gap on the outer edges. So I went ahead and added some green moss to the outer edges using some hot glue just to fill in all those corners. Once that step was done, I went and added some ribbon trim to the outer frame of this canvas because as you can see, there are staples that are exposed, and I wanted to make this look more decorative. So I took this really pretty ribbon with yellow roses on it. This is by Floral Garden, or it could be Crafter Square. It's from the Dollar Tree, and I just trimmed out the outer edges of this canvas. And again, this is just going to add that spring touch that this needs, and I think it's just a nice neutral color, perfect for spring. And once that ribbon was attached, all those ribbons were attached, I went ahead and trimmed off any excess that was overhanging. And this is the part where I started to realize that the bunnies were slightly different in size. There were 2 bunny packs that these came from, so one differed from the other, which I had no knowledge of until this portion of the video. When I started to arrange all of my bunny pieces, I realized that certain rows didn't fit very well. They were sort of scrunched up, whereas other rows were, able to fit in a lot more nicely. So I did have to be methodical in the way that I displayed or arranged the pieces, just to make sure everything fit nice. I went ahead and added hot glue to all of my bunny pieces, and as you can see, I just arranged them in a column fashion, just gluing them down so that they are in straight rows. At this point, I really had no knowledge what this piece was going to be. Wasn't sure if I wanted to make this more of a box chocolate bunny type thing, or if I wanted to make this more of a wall display type thing. I just kept going along with the whole process, but didn't exactly know what the ultimate goal was here. So, and it's okay. Sometimes you don't really know how things are going to end up until it's done. I added some of this Excelsior moss or grass to this display because I felt like it needed more texture and depth. The areas that I am filling, it just looked too flat in, contrast to the bunnies. Since the bunnies are more like bigger and 3D looking, I felt like this display needed more depth. So adding this Excelsior grass definitely gave it that depth that it needed, and it also gave a nice contrast to this display. So even though at this point I really wasn't sure what I wanted this to be, I was actually happy with the direction it was going. So I really love that look with the whole chocolate bunny look. I think it looks really cute. And the more I look at it as days went on, actually, I mean, it really does look like chocolate bunnies. So I'm really pleased with it. I hope you guys are enjoying this video so far. So once all of the Excelsior grass was added, I decided I was going to add a hanger to this. So I'm just showing you here this little wood word sign that came from Dollar Tree. I wasn't sure if I wanted to add something, but I felt like that was too much. I was just going to keep this simple. I took a piece of jute string and added some of these colorful Easter beads to the jute twine. And once I finished doing that, I went ahead and knotted the ends of each side just to make sure that the beads were in place and they didn't, come off of the string. And then I took some hot glue and just glued this to the back of this display here. And that was pretty much it for this project. This was super easy. It was just a really simple idea, and I think it came out super adorable though. I want to go ahead and say thanks for joining me on this video today. This is how it came out. Look how adorable this chocolate bunny display is. I love it, and I hope you guys like it too. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, give me that thumbs up, share my videos, and please comment down below. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you join my YouTube family. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next one.